survived 9 bullet shots. On March 18, 1915, Wenceslao Miguel was a soldier fighting in the Mexican Revolution. He was captured by opposing forces and sentenced to be game overed without trial. No defense, no appeal. He was taken to a wall at dawn and told to stand still. A firing squad of 9 men lined up in front of him. They raised their rifles. The commander gave the order. 8 rifles fired at once. Bullets tore through Miguel's chest and abdomen. One pierced his left lung. Another shattered 2 ribs. A third ripped through his stomach. He collapsed to the ground, bleeding from multiple entry wounds. But he was still breathing. His eyes were still open. The commander walked over to finish the job. He pulled out a pistol, pressed the barrel against Miguel's head just above his right eye, and fired at point-blank range. The bullet entered his skull, passed through his brain, and exited near his jaw. Miguel's body went limp. Blood pooled beneath his head. The soldiers checked for a pulse. They found none. They assumed he was dead and walked away to prepare the next prisoner. But Miguel was not dead. The bullet had somehow traveled through his head at an angle that avoided the most vital structures. His heart was still beating. His lungs, though damaged, were still pulling in air. He remained motionless on the ground, not daring to move. He could hear the soldiers talking nearby. He could feel the warmth of his own blood soaking into his shirt. Minutes passed. Then an hour. When the soldiers finally left the area, Miguel opened his eyes. His vision was blurred, and his body screamed in pain with every slight movement. He forced himself to stand. Blood dripped from 9 separate wounds. He staggered away from the wall and found help from sympathetic locals who hit him until he could escape the region. Doctors later examined him and confirmed the impossible. 9 bullets had entered his body. 8 remained lodged in his torso. 1 had passed completely through his skull. The entry wound above his eye and the exit wound near his jaw were clearly visible for the rest of his life. Head severed from spine. On January 25, 2007, a woman was driving along a highway in Nebraska. Another vehicle ran a stop sign and slammed into the side of her car at high speed. The impact sent her vehicle spinning across the road before it came to rest in a ditch. Emergency responders arrived within minutes. The woman was conscious. She was talking. She complained of severe neck pain, but appeared stable enough to transport. At the hospital, doctors ordered scans of her spine. What they saw in the imaging made them freeze. Her skull had completely separated from her spine. The ligaments and bones that normally hold the head in place had been torn apart. Her skull was connected to her body only by skin, muscle, and a few remaining soft tissues. Medically, this condition is called internal decapitation. In nearly every case, it is instantly fatal. The spinal cord should have been severed. Even the slightest movement can cut through the remaining nerves and cause immediate death or permanent paralysis. But somehow, her spinal cord had stayed barely intact. She had been walking, talking, and turning her head without realizing that any movement could finish what the crash had started. Doctors explained that survival from this injury was almost unheard of. Most victims die at the scene or within minutes. The woman was rushed into emergency surgery. The procedure required reattaching her skull to her spine using metal plates, rods, and screws. Surgeons drilled directly into her skull to anchor the hardware. A halo brace was fitted around her head, with 4 pins screwed into her skull to keep it completely immobilized. She would need to wear the device for months while the bones fused back together. Any sudden movement during that time could undo the repair. The surgery took hours. When it was finished, doctors warned her that nerve damage was likely